How's it, everybody? Hiyakahi Matsumoto here, presenting to you all another SaberForge review. Now, this review is a bit different from the others I have done in the past, as it's a redo of a review that I did quite some time ago on the SaberForge Light Whip Blade. Now, this is not really a true blade per se, and I'll explain why in a bit. The reason I redid this review is because, for one, I had some incorrect information about this in the first one, and you can chalk that up to this not being mine. It's owned by my friend Jordan Leong, who asked me to review it for him. And the second reason is people were complaining about the sound quality. Last time I did this, we were outside, it was windy, and many could not hear me very well. So, as I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I don't like giving people false information, I decided to redo this, and also to show everyone watching that I'm still alive. Anyway, before I get into this, for question of the video, what are your thoughts on the concept of the light whip in the Star Wars universe? Do you love it? Are you indifferent to it? Or would you just rather toss it in the garbage altogether? Anyway, that's it for the prologue. Now on to the main review and demonstration. The equipment being used for this video are my SaberForge katana and the whip itself. Now, as I was saying before, this is not a true blade. It's really just a silver finish elite blade plug with a hole drilled in the top, and a 10-foot long 6mm side glow fiber optic cord threaded through the hole, which itself is held in place by a set screw drilled into the side of the plug. It also has some reflective film on the inside of the plug for diffusion purposes. The plug itself can be bought in two different lengths, 1.5 inches to fit typical lightsabers and 3 inches for those with longer blade socket depths like the Sinister Prophecy, for example. Now onto the mechanics of this thing. This is a great offensive weapon as it has a long range, and when used effectively, it can keep your opponent from rushing in close and getting the jump on you. Since it's also flexible, it can also be used to wrap around a rigid weapon, like a lightsaber, and still land a hit on your opponent. And for the record, before anyone decides to make a joke about me whipping the black guy in this video, my friend Jordan Leong, who I'm dueling with, is not African American. He's Japanese, Chinese, Korean, Okinawan, Hawaiian, and Filipino. Sorry to be a buzzkill and spoil your fun, but I'm getting a little tired of having to explain that to certain individuals. You know who you are. Anyway, back to the review. This is not a perfect weapon, and it does have a few flaws. For one thing, using the whip effectively, especially at the full 10-foot length, requires momentum, and if you don't get enough power and speed behind your swing, it will not go very far. Another downside is the recoil. If you get clumsy enough with the whip and don't know how its mechanics and physics work, you can tangle yourself up in your own weapon, which can also be done if your opponent deflects your strike back at you somehow. Another setback is, while this is a good offensive weapon, it has little to no defensive capabilities. And if you manage to completely miss your opponent and can't get another strike in time, you will likely not be able to block an offensive attack because the whip has almost no rigidity, especially at the full 10-foot length. One last thing to take note of. SaberForge states on their website not to crack the whip, as it will damage and eventually break the fiber optic cord. It's for this same reason I do not recommend using this on a lightsaber with an angled emitter or emitter shroud or decorative claws, as it's more fragile than a V4 Infinity Edge blade. And as you can see here, there is already a kink at the base of the whip from 5 minutes of heavy use, so I would only recommend using this for light dueling only. There is a solution for this though. What you do is you take your hex key, Allen key, whatever you like to call it, loosen the set screw on the side of the whip plug just enough for the fiber optic cable to slide in and out, and slide the kink through the blade plug, trim the excess off with a pair of sharp scissors if needed, and retighten. Although, make sure not to tighten the set screw too much or it will go past the blade plug body and the blade plug cap and whip will eventually fly out when dueling, since the set screw holds both together and you'll just end up with an overpriced flashlight with sound. The only problem with this method of fixing the kinks is that you'll end up with a shorter whip each time. Anyway, that concludes my review of the SaberForge Light Whip Blade. I hope this answers any and all questions you may have. If not, feel free to shoot me a comment down below, and hopefully I can get back to doing these reviews on a regular basis very soon. Anyway, be safe, take care of yourselves. Good night, everybody.
For that comment who said I was African American, I'm Japanese, Chinese, Korean, Okinawan, Hawaiian, Filipino.